Welcome to episode 571 of AI Brief. I'm your host, Amin, and as always, my co-host Leah is here with me.
Hey everyone, great to be here.
Today we are diving into a massive, truly billion-dollar land grab for AI infrastructure. Plus, we're going to look at this new $15,000 robot car that's hitting the streets from a Miami startup. And of course, we'll cover the top AI tools you can actually use today to boost your productivity.
It's a huge episode, honestly, because we're watching AI shift so quickly right now. It's moving from just this, weightless software layer into a very heavy physical reality, like going from inference chips all the way down to automated street vehicles.
Exactly. And let's just start right there with that infrastructure land grab, because the center of gravity in AI is shifting fast. It's moving away from those flashy consumer apps and straight toward the hardware, the chips, and the data layer.
The foundational stuff.
Right, the foundational layer. And the bets being made here are just massive. Take Databricks, for example. They're targeting a staggering $188 billion valuation right now in a Co2-led round.
188 billion is just, it's hard to even wrap your head around that number.
It is abstract Wall Street math at this point. But what they're actually building is what they call the governed data layer. So they're rolling out tools like the Unity AI Gateway, Genie, and this Lake-based Postgres database.
And just to add some context to that, a governed data layer is crucial because enterprises are realizing that having a brilliant AI model is basically useless if your internal corporate data is a mess, right?
No, totally. You can't have your AI enter just hallucinating or leaking confidential files.
Exactly. And that's why Databricks wants to be the central nervous system for that data. But then you look at the physical silicon side and the numbers are just as wild.
Oh, the silicon side is fascinating. So there's this startup called Etched, and they are seeking up to a $20 billion valuation. And that's alongside a separate $10 billion Sequoia round.
And they're building specialized inference chips, right?
Yes, specifically designed to break NVIDIA's grip on the market. And then you throw SpaceX into the mix. They are currently negotiating a multi-billion-dollar computing deal with the Pentagon. They're prepping to challenge cloud providers like CoreWeave with lower-priced AI capacity.
Which completely shifts the landscape.
It really does. It's like a modern gold rush, and the biggest winners are the ones building the railroads and selling the pickaxes. But I have to ask you, with Etched, not even in large-scale commercial delivery yet, and these companies getting priced based on strategic control rather than, demonstrated revenue, is the market just getting way ahead of itself?
Oh, it's a phenomenal question. I mean, yes, private valuations are aggressively front-running the technology right now.
Because of FOMO.
Partly FOMO, but also because these are viewed as winner-take-all bottlenecks. The desperation for this infrastructure is incredibly real. Even though Etched is still testing their chips, they already have about $1 billion in prospective demand lined up.
Wow, just waiting for the hardware.
Exactly. And when you look at SpaceX, they are perfectly positioned to leverage their existing satellite networks and their military footprint into just massive cloud compute power. They're laying the high-voltage wires for the whole industry.
So we have billions pouring into these hidden data centers. But the results of all that compute are finally spilling out into the physical world, which is wild.
And that brings us to the robotics side of things. I'll hand the floor over to you for this because we were seeing two very different approaches emerging.
We really are. And let's start with the consumer side, because there's this startup in Miami called Chip Motors. They just revealed a street-legal robotic EV, and they literally just named it Chip.
Chip the car. And the specs are definitely unique. It costs $15,000, so it's priced much closer to an upscale golf cart than, say, a traditional Tesla.
Right.
But it's built for real roads. It talks, it parks itself, and even displays emotions through an animated LED grille. And it has this core feature called Chip Go, which is a system that hands driving duties over to a human teleoperator.
Okay, wait, I have to push back on this a little bit.
Go for it.
So we have a quirky $15,000 robotic car with an emotional LED grille, but when the driving gets too complex, it relies on a human remote control operator in a call center in Florida.
Yeah, that's the teleoperator model.
That sounds less like an autonomous AI revolution and more like a very expensive Disney ride. Contrast that with what's actually happening on the industrial side, where we see silent but massive revolutions with robots doing real production work.
It's a completely fair pushback. The consumer teleoperator approach is highly debated. But you're right, to see pure physical AI without the illusion of it, we have to look at the industrial side. And the momentum there is incredible. Just recently, NVIDIA CEO Jensen Huang took a trip to Tokyo, and he was treated with absolute rock star status.
People were literally crowding the streets for him.
They were. And he was there to partner with Fanuc and Yaskawa Electric. He explicitly framed physical AI as the missing ingredient in Japan's entire automation ecosystem. And we are seeing serious money follow this, like Noetra, a Sony-backed firm. They just bought 27,500 NVIDIA Rubin chips just to build out this physical AI infrastructure.
That amount of chips is just staggering.
It's massive. But what's even more impressive is Walden Robotics. They are a Cambridge-based Toyota spinoff, and they just emerged from stealth with $300 million in funding and a $1.1 billion valuation.
Do they have real backing?
Heavy backing. Toyota, NVIDIA, Boeing. But what separates Walden from the demo stage startups is that their robots have been doing actual real production work at a Toyota plant since February.
Doing real unscripted tasks?
Exactly. And they aren't using traditional programming. They use something called large behavior models and a technique called diffusion policy.
Okay, large behavior models. How is that different from, like, the large language models we use with ChatGPT?
So instead of predicting the next logical word in a sentence, a large behavior model predicts the next physical action in a sequence. It watches a human assemble a part hundreds of times through a camera, and then it predicts the exact motor torque required to replicate that movement.
Wow. And then the diffusion policy part.
Diffusion policy basically filters out the noise. When a human does a task, our hands shake, we adjust our grip, it's messy. Diffusion policy mathematically chips away all that random variation until it finds the perfect, idealized motion. So the robot just watches, learns, and executes.
That is incredible. And, looking at Walden Robotics actually executing real production work versus the consumer stuff, it really highlights a bigger trend. And that trend is execution. While our listeners might not be buying an inference chip or a factory robot today, they can leverage the latest AI tools right now that are doing this exact same thing in the digital world.
Absolutely. The shift from AI just giving you text to AI actually taking action is here.
So let's walk through today's trending tools and give you some practical use cases. First up is Unabyss for Claude. If you use Claude regularly, you know the pain of constantly having to re-explain your context. Unabyss acts as a shared memory layer across all your apps, specifically designed so your Claude Assistant never loses context between sessions.
It's like having an intern who actually remembers the project you worked on yesterday rather than waking up with amnesia every morning.
Exactly. And once it has that memory, you want it to actually do things. Yeah, for developers, there's TabStack Browser Automation. This is perfect if you want to automate website interactions directly within an app or an AI agent without having to deal with the headache of hosting the browser infrastructure yourself.
Right. It handles the messy back-end environment so your AI can just navigate pages and scrape data seamlessly.
Then, for the modern B2B teams out there, we have Pebbles AI. This is a streamlined AI sales platform designed to accelerate your pipeline. So instead of a rep spending hours researching a prospect, Pebbles does the deep contextual research and drafts highly personalized outreach.
It really elevates the human from just being a data gatherer to being a strategist.
Completely. Now, if you are a developer looking for foundational tech, check out Kimi K3. This is an open-source 3 trillion parameter class AI model that developers can utilize as a massive foundational layer for their own projects.
A huge win for the open-source community to compete with the proprietary giants.
And for enterprise data, we have Base Dash Suggestions. Think of this as an AI data analyst that just silently works in the background. It connects to your secure databases and proactively generates insights before you even ask. You could just log in and see an anomaly report it found over the weekend.
I love that one, but it really only works if you have that clean, governed data layer we talked about earlier with Databricks.
Everything is connected today. And finally, there is a tool called Eye. Think of Eye as your teachable AI intern for everyday repetitive browser tasks. You basically just turn it on, perform a manual workflow once like copying tracking numbers from an email into a portal, and it learns to execute those actions for you automatically.
And that's the major theme, connecting all these tools, right? Especially with things like Eye and TabStack. We are really moving from AI that just generates text to AI that actually executes tasks on your behalf. It takes the cursor and does the work.
It's taking the cursor, it's taking the steering wheel, it's taking over the factory floor. And that shift from generation to execution leaves us with a final provocative thought for today. As all this infrastructure centralizes under massive multi-billion-dollar giants, and as robots step onto our streets and factory floors, Where does the real power lie? Is it in the AI models we interact with every day? Or is it strictly in the hands of whoever owns the silicon and the data centers underneath them?
That is the defining tension right now. We're watching the railroads being built in real time, and we all need to be watching this infrastructure space incredibly closely.
We really do. Well, that wraps it up for us today. Make sure to follow and share AI Brief so you don't miss out on how this landscape keeps shifting. See you in the next episode.